And this is what it does to the table. 7 points the gap now between Barcelona and Real Madrid, who play Real Betis on Sunday. So that's a really important game for Xabi Alonso and his players. This was a match that was won by the substitutes for Barcelona, but also a really mature performance from all of these young players. Not to worry, not to get carried away. We'll eventually find a way through.
Yeah, I think when you have the quality sitting on the bench waiting to have an impact, obviously Lewandowski's played on the bench so many times this season and had to be patient. We mentioned it already, that's his 9th goal coming off the bench since he's been at Barcelona. And more often than not, he's been the substitute player who's coming off the bench, having to have an impact for Barcelona to get back in games or potentially win games. But I thought the performance from Fermin Lopez with a couple of assists was excellent. And then, of course, Olmo's opening goal, Dani Olmo's opening goal, that finish, that exquisite finish into the far corner was truly special to get his 5th goal this season. But this was a hard-fought game for Barcelona. They were miles away from it. They were nowhere near good enough in the first 45 minutes. They were outshot in the first half. The shots on target were better in the first half from Espanyol. And actually, if it wasn't for the goalkeeper, Joan Garcia, the Barcelona goalkeeper who just recently transferred from Espanyol, I mean, they would have found themselves down. That guy Garcia had maybe 3 world-class saves in this game. And in that second half in particular, both goalkeepers were outstanding. And that's why it was 0-0 all the way to the 86th minute, I think it was. I mean, absolutely fabulous game. It was a brilliant game, end-to-end action. And actually, the better team at the end of the day probably did not win this one.
We need to tip our hats to the performance from Espanyol. Manolo Gonzalez got them playing brilliantly this season. I think coming into this game, I said it in the intro, 5 wins in a row. And they proved to Barcelona that they can go toe-to-toe with the top teams in Spain this season.
Yeah, they kept Barcelona as well with only 3 shots in the first 45 minutes. I mean, that was Barcelona's lowest tally in the first half of a La Liga game this season. And let's not forget, this is a derby game, right? So there's something to play for here. Espanyol, as you pointed out there, the 5 games coming into this matchup, those are not easy games as well, right? The last one in particular against Athletic Club, that was outstanding. I thought they were very, very good in the first 45 minutes. I do think that they should have scored. Permila should have scored that one we showed you in the highlights. He had another opportunity he should have scored. And outside of an outstanding goalkeeping performance from Joan Garcia, they would have scored a couple of goals in this game. I feel very sorry for Espanyol. Good friend of mine, Alan Pace, he's the owner of the club now, under American ownership. He's doing a great thing at that football club. And they're actually bringing the right players into the football club. I don't know if you noticed there, but the right winger who started the game was Tyrese Dolan. He was playing for Blackburn Rovers last year. They're going out and their scouting is really excellent. And I think it's because of Alan Pace now having a different idea of how he wants to run that football club. They're getting the best results. And it's not just Spanish players or players from the Catalan region that are doing it for them. They're looking outside to try and be better, to try and improve. But I think they'll be slightly upset they didn't get something from this game because I thought overall, full 90, they were a better team.
Now, we have been known sometimes on this show to be critical of goalkeepers, but credit where credit's due. Joan Garcia, I mean, some fabulous saves throughout this game, but also to have the foresight to be able to do that little push on the defender to block the oncoming attacker. I mean, that was really, we talk of football intelligence. That's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you will never see defending like this. Take a look at this again. You will never see defending like this often. I mean, this is unbelievable. To have the quick thinking, the mindset to be able to push your own defender, right? This is the look at it. You've got Gerard Martin going towards the ball. He's never going to get there. Goalkeeper's trying to get there. Absolutely bullies his own defender. And then Martin makes the block.
Yeah.
I mean, that is quality.
Son, get in the way.
That's quality defending. That was the save right there. This is the world-class save, I thought. I mean, he has no business making that save, Joan Garcia. That's why he was brought into Barcelona. Now, you obviously heard through the commentary that maybe there should be an inclusion into the Spanish national team. When I see performances like that, absolutely. This guy needs to be spoken about a bit more. He's had a bit of injury. He's obviously had a little bit of a controversial time. He will have a battle between now and the end of the season to keep that starting spot. But keep playing like that, son. Another clean sheet and another victory, and you're the reason why.
Was it also an impressive show from Hansi Flick tactically to know the right players to bring off the bench? Ultimately, both goals came from substitutes, didn't they? That he was able to assess what the game was telling him in terms of tactics and react to that.
Yeah, when you look at the starting 11 that he went with, I mean, it's quite incredible that they had so much talent on the bench waiting to come on, but they actually had impact players on the field. I mean, Torres starts up top with Rafinha playing the number 10, Lamine Yamal on the right-hand side, Rashford, who didn't do much, who came off in the second half. He actually came off at half-time. And of course, you saw Fermin Lopez, who came on for him at half-time, have 2 impacts with the assist that he created. But they weren't doing much. If you look at the stats in the first half, 288 accurate passes, 72% passes they've had, obviously ball completion. That's okay, but you don't do anything with it. Second half, compare that to what they did do. They had 65% possession of the ball. They took 12 shots in that second half compared to only 3 shots they took in the first half. So I think what Hansi Flick did well is he recognised we got a lot of the ball, but we're not doing anything with it. We need to be more creative. There needs to be more desire to try something in that final third. Try to get in behind, try to make it happen, and in that second period it started to happen to them. Pedri obviously had an impact from that midfield area as well. I think it was great to see him obviously coming off the bench and having some sort of an impact. But if you can bring Lewandowski off the bench and have an impact like that, Dani Olmo off the bench and have an impact like that, Fermin Lopez, Pedri off the bench, Hansi Flick, can you imagine? He wakes up in Barcelona with the sun shining every single morning. Guten Morgen, buenos dias, Hansi Flick, right? And he's looking forward to his day and he goes, well, I wonder what players I'm going to select for my starting 11 and which ones I'm going to leave out. The most difficult decision Hansi Flick has got to make is probably the ones he leaves out, not the ones he puts in the starting 11. You got to then have a man management style to be able to get exceptional performance from players who come onto the field. And that's what happened in this game, right? But there was one incident I want to point out to you, and I mentioned it during the highlights. Dani Olmo pointing at the clock, right? These players will be patient with you for so long because world-class players and talented international superstars, Adam, they want to play every single game. They want to be in the starting 11. They don't want to sit on the bench. So I did see that little point to the clock, and that was a signal to Hansi Flick. Give me more playing
He's
time.
also learning as he goes, Hansi Flick, because remember that game in the Champions League? They lost to Chelsea. I mean, what a difference a month or so makes after that. But these are the performances since then. It's been 8 wins in a row and a lot of clean sheets in there. We were very critical of Barcelona defensively in the middle part of the season. That high line, they were conceding goal after goal, but they've 4 clean sheets in a row now.
Yeah, very good with the 4 clean sheets in a row right now, and obviously they're getting better and better. I want to see that one. I mean, if you look at their last 9 games, it's 9 wins, 21 goals scored, 6 goals conceded, and as you pointed out there, the 4 straight games with a clean sheet's quite exceptional. Joan Garcia now, great to see that type of a performance from him as a goalkeeper. I think that type of performance, I think, obviously bleeds confidence to your defenders as well. And you saw the way that he pushed Gerard Martin in that back line. But there's players coming back healthy now for Barcelona. Let's not forget that. They've been hampered with injury left, right and centre. I still think the plan stays. Hansi Flick wants to win that Champions League title. I really believe that. If he wins the Champions League with this Barcelona side, he'll go down as one of the greatest managers in Champions League history, as far as I'm concerned. What he did with Barcelona, exceptional. With Bayern Munich, exceptional. If he does the same thing with Barcelona, I mean, doing it with multi-clubs in a competition like that is truly exceptional. So I think that's the one he wants more than anything else. But Real Madrid are essentially handing them the La Liga title right now.